of 8 consecutive games. So they have not lost in this calendar year. There's only one team that has
Ah,
a
I knew they had one
consecutive
was a
win.
streak and it was 8, but I didn't realize they hadn't lost this calendar year. That's a nice touch.
Yeah, yeah. But there's one team out there who has a streak slightly longer than theirs.
I know. Oh, longer?
Yes, right
Ooh,
now
longer.
on the D2 level. On the D2 level.
Well,
HBCU
I'm gonna
D2.
have.
Let me specify. HBCU D2 women. There's one team that has a longer streak.
Oh well,
Tuskegee?
that's easy to. Yeah, I mean,
Nope,
Tuskegee?
Tuskegee's only at 6 in a row. Tuskegee's only at 6
Okay.
in a row. It's our forgotten HBCU on the D2 level. West Virginia State. They're the winners of
Yeah.
9 consecutive women.
Nice. Good
all right,
catch. Good
okay,
catch. Yeah. I see you. I see you,
all
Drew.
right,
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
right,
keep
Drew.
that computer
All right.
churning. I like what you're spitting out.
Great observation there, Drew, about the records in Division Two. That's I want to do a breakdown of looking at people's non-conference later, because that's fascinating when you juxtapose it against Division One, which we know that's a different story, but still, I think it is interesting to look at.
Brian, 11 of the 29 women HBCU programs on January 22nd have double-digit wins.
Nice,
That's over
good,
1/3
good,
have double-digit wins. No one is winless.
nice.
And
And I still say
when you
20
add in the
wins is
9-win
a mark.
teams,
I think 20 wins is still an actionable mark that you look at and say
Oh yeah. I
that's
love that
accomplishment.
20. I love that 20-win
yeah,
mark. It's still significant, particularly at the Division Two level, NIA level. You get to 20. Sometimes at them, they get a chance to get to 25. Really looking
right.
good. But at the Division One level, if you can get to 20 wins, you're really doing something. Sometimes that demarcation may need to be closer to 17, 18. But it's something beautiful about that round number when you can put that 20-win mark on there. So I love
2021.
that you brought
Yeah.
that up. Yeah, I love that you
Yeah.
brought that up.
And take it one step further,
Um,
everybody. 15 of the 29 are at 9 wins or better. So over half
Nice.
of our women's programs are at 9 wins or better with 5 weeks remaining in the basketball season.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it. I love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and the whole team is here. So welcome to episode 369 Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture. HBCU athletic aesthetics facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. We simply call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSOH 1230 AM studios with the Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, Mike Washington, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good, Doc. Life on the road as usual, but always ready for another night in the lab with you and my boy CB there.
Already. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. With that being said, Charles Bishop, how you doing today?
Doing well, Dr. Bill. Apparently, I'm found. I've been found here on Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab for I don't know how long, but I am.
Yeah, I heard there's some people out there looking for you, putting out an ABB. I thought you'd been on the show regularly.
I thought so, but
take care of some business on Thursday, but I guess they thought you went whole for real.
Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. It's comical, but happy to be back for another Tuesday show. Yeah, I'm back for the first time.
I can officially report you are back, but you're fine. If you get talking about HBCU sports, the rest of this season and the football season as well.
Yeah, I've been talking HBCU sports quite a bit, so it hasn't gone anywhere, and will continue to do so. I don't think that'll ever change. But we will say that the possibilities are endless. So.
I like that. Put that little tease out there. My understanding, the SIAC tournament's going on, and you have it on your TV in the background. Do you have a final ones near?
Yeah, it looks like we have a final, and Edward Waters has upset Kentucky State on the women's side of the bracket. Edward Waters came in the 6th seed from the East. They have upset a 3 seed in the West. Kentucky State looks like a final from Savannah is Edward Waters 67, Kentucky State Thoroughbreds 62.
The OVs, the SIC, I should say, will never let you down. They will not let you down. It is meant to have upsets, and they tend to start those upsets early on in the SIC. We'll keep a look on it, but we're going to do this next segment, this early news segment, if you would. We're going to do it like they do the African American Black Church, monthly birthdays. We're going to say congratulations. Congratulations to everybody. If you hear my voice, clap 1 time. If you hear my voice, clap 2 times. That being said, let me go down the list. Elizabeth City State Vikings wins the CIAA Tournament Championship, and the women's win first ever CIAA title with a 55-40 victory over Shaw. For many of you all that follow us, you've heard this by now. Head coach is Tanisha Lewis. Assistant coaches, staff, Naisha Blanco, Food Lion Tournament MVP, and all of the players involved. I want to say congratulations. I also would like to add congratulations to Winston-Salem State men who win the CIAA championship. with a 62-57 victory against Lincoln, Pennsylvania. Head coach Cleo Hill Jr. Yes, you've heard that name before. Cleo Hill. This is the son. Cleo Hill Jr. Assistant coaches, staff, Jalen Alston for the Food Lion Tournament MVP and all players involved for the Winston-Salem State Rams. Congratulations, as both the men's and women's were crowned CIAA tournament champions. Moving on to the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference, Russ Bearcats. The women win Hope Credit Union GCAC tournament championship. The women win the second straight GCA title with a 51-50 last second winning shot over Philander Smith. Head coach Eric Jackson Jr., along with the assistant coaches, staff, Katie Blackman, star of the tournament, and all other players involved. Congratulations on winning the Hope Credit Union GCAC tournament championship. On the men's side, we have the Tougaloo Bulldogs. Men win the Hope's Credit Union GCAC tournament championship. Men with a second straight title, 62-61, thrilling victory over Philander Smith. As the game looked like it was going overtime, back and forth at the end. A foul with essentially no time on the clock. It was the appropriate call, just a bang play.
Yeah.
Sends Tougaloo Bulldogs to the line. They hit the shot and they get it done. Head coach Eric Struthers, we listened to him last week with a great interview going into the tournament, along with his assistant coaches, staff, Cameron Copeland, tournament MVP, and all players involved. Congratulations. On to some independent programs. We're not finished. Florida Memorial Lions women's wins the Sun Conference Tournament Championship with a 98-85 victory over Southeastern for the 17th straight conference win, as head coach Gregory Stanback is getting it done along with assistant coaches staff, Aaliyah Den, tournament with MVP and all players involved. Get it done for winning the Sun Conference. And most recently, you have Xavier Gold Rush wins the Red River Athletic Tournament Championship with a 79-63 victory over LSU Shreveport. Head coach Alfred Williams, congratulations, along with the assistant coaches staff. Xavier Reed is tournament MVP along with all the other players involved. Coach Alfred Williams becomes the first head coach in Xavier men's basketball history to win 3 championships. Had a 5-way tie. He gets it done. Remember, this is his second year in the Red River Athletic Conference. Prior to that, he had back-to-back championships in the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. So I wanted to give a shout out and kudos to these individuals, women and men, in regards to getting championships in their respective conference championships. Again, kudos to all those involved. Wanted to take a little step and kind of pull back and make sure we recognize those programs' significant accomplishments to get it done. Many of them over the long haul of the season playing well enough to get in a tournament, then going on a significant run. And obviously those tournament championships, regular season championships, mean a great deal. So with that being said, let me go to you, Charles, in terms of any news that you wanted to share above and beyond maybe some of these championships out here.
Well, you mentioned the championships, and I wanted to first and foremost send thoughts and prayers to the Delaware State bowling team who were involved in a car accident a few days ago, February 23rd. 8-member team is coach, university staff member, driver were aboard the bus at the time of the accident, and the injured occupants were transported to local hospitals for treatment. So I want to start off by saying thoughts and prayers to Delaware State University bowling team in terms of a speedy recovery. But Dr. Cavil, in addition to those championships that you mentioned, those teams winning tournament championships, kudos to Jackson State women's basketball team in terms of winning their 4th consecutive regular season title in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Coach Tamika Reed, we've had her on this show before, but those Jackson State Lady Tigers, they were able to close the loop, if you will, avenging the earlier loss to Prairie View with a huge win this past Monday. So shout out to Jackson State in regards to another regular season SWAC title.
So what? So what? I don't care.
Man, kudos to stay with it on winning the regular season crown, as you said, closing up, getting a little payback. And I think they stayed out there on the floor so long, they gave a little push for the men to make sure they got it done against Prairie View for a big victory. Coming down the stretch is going to be interesting how that plays out. We'll get a chance to talk a little bit more about that in the second half of the show on the men's major division and tell you what to look at. Is this is a short week. We close out regular season play this week with games on either Thursday and Saturday. Some of the rival games are just on Saturday. So it should be fascinating. You have obviously just 8 teams that go. Essentially, you have 10 teams that are still in the hunt for those final spots. You do have basically FAMU that lost a tough one to Southern. Southern yesterday with going around there is the second shot, and people are not paying so much for the shot. But in terms of the young man that went on skates, that was tough. But that eliminated FAMU on the men's side. And then obviously you have Mississippi Valley State that has also been eliminated on the men's side. We'll talk about the eliminations on the women's side in a little bit. Some of those are starting to eliminate. And it looks like you might have a fix in terms of those top 8. But in regards to what that looks like, fascinating. Things are going down the stretch. Also, kudos to Norfolk State, since you talk about the women's basketball. They got it done in terms of regular season championship after a big win and a tough loss for Morgan State. They lock it up, and it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. Let me go to you, Mike, to see if there's any news that you wanted to kind of put on the table before we get into our first break and come back on the other side and look at the major division women's top 5 teams of the week.
Well, a little basketball related, but not on the court. I guess this is the second year for the CIAA tournament. A lot of folks calling it successful. Couple of articles saying what the results were: 66,000 fans, a total economic impact of 19.6 million.
Wow.
According to Visit Baltimore. I can't compare it to all the years in Charlotte. I was a fan of Charlotte, to be honest, but when it moved to Baltimore, I was like, can it replicate? Can you bring that same environment to Baltimore? But, kudos to them. Second year. It seemed like the coaches, fans were all pleased. So hats off to the CIAA on their second year doing the tournament in Baltimore.
Good stuff. Great points that you make there. Let me get this in here. Shedeur Sanders named top HBCU football player for 2022 season. This is courtesy of www.kron4.com. This is former Jackson State quarterback Shedeur Sanders was named the Deacon Jones Trophy winner for his 2022 preseason performance on Saturday. The award annually is given to the best football player of a historically black college and university. Quarterback passed for 3,752 yards and rushed for 174 yards in 13 games this past season. He threw for 40 touchdown passes and scored 6 rushing touchdowns as the Tigers went 12-1 with their lone loss in the season coming in the Celebration Bowl against North Carolina Central. Despite Sanders' dazzling play and got his statistics, he went on to transfer this offseason. He's following his coach and father, Deion Sanders, to Colorado, as many may not have heard by now, so we're going to share that. He'll be a junior. Colorado went 1-11 last year, including 1-8 in the Pac-12 this past season. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes forward. One last thing is SWAC's statement on the Alabama A&M Alabama State men's basketball game. Usually we don't get into referees as much in terms of a call, but this is something that I love what we do in Black College Sports Network. We have a group of folks that follow these sports and make sure you get your news. So we talk among each other to kind of wrap things up. We have a AD Drew that obviously does some officiating, so he got his view in there. And you have Mo Carter that was giving his play-by-play analysis and asking questions, so we back and forth. I kind of questioned, and then Drew came in, provided some framework, and I said, all right, I'm going to go with it. But we come back, and my framework was a little correct. There was a foul near the end of the game. The referees did the right thing about going to the film to see what it is, but they made an error in judgment when they waved off the shot and provided the technical fouls, which they should have did. in the play, which would have gave Alabama State a 2-point lead. It would have sent Alabama A&M to the line with a chance to tie it. But they ultimately took away the points, which had Alabama A&M with the lead, and then they went to the line, hit some free throws, got the ball back. Basically, the margin of victory was there. But according to the SWAC and the referees, in terms of goal lines, they should not have waved off the shot. That's a tough one. We'll see how it goes down. Obviously, the referees have been corrected in terms of the action. Punishment has been provided to them. So I wanted to give that update because I think that's contextually important, just to give some people some framework that may have had some questions and updates and hadn't seen that. With that, we'll go to our first break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into the major division for the women's. Stick with us for the rest of the show. We have a great show lined up. We'll get into these top 5 major polls. Should be able to get an interview for you. Stick with us as we got great folks in here listening to the lab. We'll give you some love as we go through the show. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're going to get into the HBCU Major Division top 5 programs in week number 8. See what these gentlemen say. But before that, I promised you to give you an update on the women's standings. You have 3 teams that are eliminated from the tournament thus far, which are FAMU, the Rattlers, Texas Southern Tigers, and Mississippi Valley State Delta Delta. So men's and women's from FAMU, men's and women's from Valley are eliminated for the tournament. So there is one team that is in the race for the last spot, while on the men's side is two teams. So I wanted to give you that little update in terms of there's, as I said, 2 games left for some teams, 1 game for those rivalries like FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, Prairie View, and Texas Southern. Have a single game left, and the other teams have 2 games left as they play Thursday and Friday. Short week, concise. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. But let's get into it. Dropping out this week, as we have the teams receiving votes. Prairie View A&M Panthers sit at 14-4, 11-6. They were creeping up in there and had that tough loss on the road. They did get split on the road, which is always important. Howard Bison sit at 13-13, 9-4, as they sit outside of the top 10. And Morgan State has fallen all the way from number 1 to out of the top 5, 3 consecutive losses. It's been tough for the Morgan State Bears as they started off so well, but they're outside of the top 5 now and have given up a piece of the regular season championship after playing so well in the season. It's hard to see them fall like that, but they do have the tournament. See maybe if they can make a push and get it together. They are at 16-10, 9-4. So dropping out this week is Morgan State Bears as they fall out of the top 5. So what does it look like for the top 5 programs? Who's in, who's out? We'll see. At number 5 this week, Alabama A&M Bulldogs sit at 13-13, 11-5. They are in third slot right now as they try to close out the season to get that third seed to see how that looks. And obviously, second and third seed means you can stay away from Vontae Jackson State until the finals, and you take your chances there if you can push the envelope. So I think a lot of folks are looking forward to that. We'll see how that plays out. They have 45 points, sitting at 5 as they remain in the 5 spot. At number 4, North Carolina A&T State Aggies sit at 17-10, 11-5, 60 points. They close out the season. They drop a spot from number 3. They're in the Colonial Tournament this week. They have a Thursday matchup to see what they do as they try to make a run in the Colonial Tournament this week. At number 3, you have the Alabama State Hornets, 15-12, 12-4, big victory as they continue to push forward. They've won 6 straight games, so they're pretty solid. What's going on? They were not ranked, but because of the rolling, they jump into the top 5 this week. 61 points. You see they're right there with that A&T, the Aggies. They get it done. At number 2, Norfolk State Spartans are 23-5, 11-2. They've righted the ship in terms of what they're doing. They have 3 first-place votes, 74 points as they continue to roll. They were previously ranked number 2. If it wasn't for the number 1 team, they might get a part of that. They've won 6 straight games, much like Alabama State. So they're rolling at the right time of the year. We'll see what it looks like as they close their season this week. They already got the regular season champion, just like the number 1 team, which is Jackson State Tigers, sitting 18-8, 15-1, 5 first-place votes, 78 points. They remain at number 1, second consecutive week as they get it done, as they've gotten the hold of number 1. They seem not to want to relinquish as they punish Prairie View, one of the top teams, if you would, in the SWAC at home. And as you said earlier, got a little bit of a revenge in terms of that's their only loss to a SWAC team as it was on the road. They cut down the next for a regular season champion as they just continue to roll 3 in a row. Or is it 4 in a row for Jackson State? How many in a row? I lose count. They just keep rolling. How many regular season championships?
That's 12 in a row.
They won 4 regular season championships in a row. They won 12 in a row in terms of games this season.
Yeah.
Oh, man. See, they just got a lot of rolls in a row. So let me go.
Yeah.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Man, nothing wrong with this poll. I was going to say North Carolina A&T, you can make an argument for them moving up. They're number 2, the Colonial, but they got their hats handed to them by was it UNCW, which is like they're $2 million in the conference.
Yeah,
exactly. That was like a 30-point loss almost. So I think
I was disappointed the way that Lady Aggies closed the season. They had a chance to get a share of that championship. They lost 2 games. 2 of them were at home where they had played really well. So going down the stretch, they kind of fizzled out. Be interesting to see if they can get it together in the tournament because they played so well early in the season, particularly in the Colonial. So to your point, Mike, I like what you're saying.
Yeah. So, all right. And then other than that, Jackson State, that little school in Mississippi, they doing all right. They should be number 1. Hats off to Norfolk State. They doing all right. So nothing wrong with the poll. But I will say, if you look at what happened in the CIAA, just because you finished the season at number 1, don't get into that tournament. I'm just saying the Ides of March.
Hey, you know what?
I like that point. Go ahead, Charles.
To your point, I got to thinking about this. And let's just say I was living in fantasy land. Let's just say something happens to Jackson State in the SWAC tournament. Something happens to Norfolk State in the SWAC tournament. Could we see these two match up against each other in a NIT type WNIT format? I mean, is it possible that you could see 2 of the better teams in women's basketball on the HBCU side face each other? And I got to thinking about, like, we talk about it, anything can happen in a tournament. Not that you wish hard luck on any of these teams, but you just thought about what would a matchup of a 1 versus 2 look like in terms of regular season champion of the SWAC, regular season champion of the MEAC.
That's an interesting thought. I would love to see that, actually.
Yes. Hey, I think Mike would love to see it for multiple reasons. as he kind of gives up the ghost in the tournament. I don't see Jackson State losing the tournament.
Nah.
And the way Morgan State is playing, I really don't see Norfolk State. But to your point, anything can happen in those tournaments. Mike said it perfectly. In the March, we call it madness for a reason. Yeah. And that's what oftentimes happens. If they did, because they finished first in the regular season, they get the automatic bid to the WNIT, is what you're referring to, Charles. It wouldn't probably be in the opening round or the first round, but if they take a couple of wins, which I think both of these teams could have you possibly see it maybe in a quarterfinals type matchup. Certainly to get to the Final Four as they have it, you could see a matchup which would be fascinating on multiple levels if the teams stub their toe, if you would, in the tournament. So that's something interesting. I did want to say this. We talked about A&T playing on Thursday in the OVC in terms of that tournament. Yep. And that'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes as A&T matches up with Delaware on Thursday to open things up. But you have Tennessee State on the women's side that did qualify in terms of the Ohio Valley Conference. They come in what they call the first round, and Tennessee State faces Southern Illinois University of Evansville. Evansville comes in at 8-21, while Tennessee State comes in at 11-17. Tennessee State finished the conference play at 7-11, while Southern Illinois also finished at 7-11. Interesting how they match up. They take the top teams in the conference and pair them up. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like in a couple of matchups. Any thoughts in terms of Tennessee State chances in the OVC tournament? I'll start with you, Mike, or North Carolina A&T, if you would, in regards to the Colonial tournament, as Hampton is not listed to play as they get it done. They'll play Hofstra as well in terms of Hofstra being 9-18, Hampton coming in at 10-16.
If anybody, I like the Aggies chance, the Lady Aggies. Even though they slumped off toward the end of the year, if they play to their potential, you look at, how they were playing in the middle of the year, the beginning of the year, something happened. It was like a step change toward the end of the year. They lost their last, two out of three, you could say. Yes. So I think, I say that with a big asterisk or whatever, or a star. If they play like they can in the middle of the year, I think they have a shot at making it far, being competitive. I'm not sure about, Tennessee State. What are they, number 5, 6 in the conference? They do have some quality wins, but, they have some tough competition. They haven't proved that they can play with, at least to me, the top 3 in that conference.
Right.
Good stuff. Charles, what are your thoughts? Any of those teams have a chance to make a run?
I think A&T
Aggies.
I think when you take a look at A&T, when they're playing at their best, they've proven to be one of the top teams in the CAA. They've proven to be one of the top teams in that conference. To your point, Mike, I think it's a tougher road for Tennessee State because we just have not seen the analytics where it shows that they are one of the top 3 teams in the OVC. So I think it'll be difficult for Tennessee State to pull a shocker, but you could very well see A&T come through with the CAA tournament win.
Yep.
To your point, A&T finished the season at 17-10. As you saw, conference race, they were 11-5, which was a 4-way tie for the second position, obviously based on tiebreakers is how things bounce out in terms of the tournament and where they're seated. It'll be interesting to see. We'll follow that Wednesday, Thursday. We'll give you those updates on the Thursday show. With that being said, stick with us. We'll be right back after this break. We'll come back on the other side and give you some more news and notes on the HBCU program. Shout out to Jerome Jeep Sutton, Edward McMorris, Emma Price, Deron Waters, Chuck Hunt, Edwin D. Moore in the building, Brother Wendell Davis giving some love in here. Lennon Lowe is in here. Brandon King, good evening, professors and HBCU family, no doubt, in the building. LaShawn Harris, G. Boone Holly gives us an update with Prairie View baseball splitting on the road. U of H Victoria wins the first game.
We got to talk about baseball, too.
The second game, 6-4. A little bit of baseball going on, and we'll talk a little bit about this weekend, some big baseball victories. We'll do that in the last segment of the show in terms of some matchups to watch, and make sure we give you some baseball updates as well.
Yeah.
Jazzy Faye is in the building, giving us some love as well. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Ricky Burton is in the building Mary Allen, as always, giving us Thomas as well. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Now, you can't live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell them I'm hungry.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, yes, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into the men's side of the top 5 rankings in week number 8. As we come back in here, we have dropping out this week. Tough week for some teams. As we have those receiving votes of the Prairie and Panthers sit at 14-4, 11-6. The Howard Bison sit at 13-3, 9-4. We have Morgan State Bears jumping out of here in regards to that. Let me give that update. I'm sorry, that's on the women's side, but on the men's side, Norfolk State Spartans sit at 20-9, 9-4. Took a tough loss on the road to North Carolina Central, playing well all season. Let you know how competitive the top 5 is for the men. Norfolk State Spartans fall out. They are at the top, receiving votes, though. At 71 points, sit at 20-9, 9-4, along with Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks, 16-12, 8-5. And then you have the Southern Jaguars, who also have fell off in terms of where they were ranked in the top 5 earlier doing MEAC SWAC play. 14-15, 10-6. Receiving, dropping out with Norfolk State Spartans sitting at 20-9, 9-4. As I said, let's jump in the top 5. And number 5, North Carolina Central Eagles, off the overtime victory, come in the 5 spot, getting hot at the right time of the year, as they seem to always do. You have none other than your North Carolina Central Eagles of the MEAC, 16-11, 9-4, getting it done as they continue to play at 70 points. So they just edged out Norfolk State, just like they did in that game received yesterday with 70 points. Were not ranked in terms of that. And it should be reversed. They had 71 points and Norfolk State has 70. With that being said, when you look at the MEAC and North Carolina Central, Norfolk State has won, losing that game. The Central has won 6 games. Let's get in number 4. You have the Howard Bison sit at 18-12, 10-3. They had a big win they needed yesterday, or things would have got even more chaotic. The MEAC, they have 73 points. They stay at number 4. As Howard has bounced back after that loss on Saturday to North Carolina Central. At number 3, Tennessee State Tigers, 18-13, 10-8. They had a chance to really make it interesting for the second spot in the OVC. They lost a tough game on Saturday as they were rolling, winning 7-8. So they've won close the season 7 out of 9 games. At number 2, Alcorn State Braves, 16-12, 13-3. At number 4, 99 points, previous number 1, so they drop a spot. After they lose on Saturday, they do bounce back on Monday and get Texas Southern. Brings us to number 1, which is Grambling State Tigers, 20-8.
Whoa!
Major division team with 20 wins, 13-3 on the season, 7 first-place votes, 113 points. They move up a spot to number 1 as they get it done. The Grambling Tigers go into Florida and take both games and sweep as they go on the Florida road trip, playing some very good basketball, if you would, for those G-men, as they like to say. They've won 7 straight games, so they're one of the hottest teams out there if you look at what they're doing. With that being said, Charles, what are your thoughts on the men's major division top 10 poll ranking?
Well, kudos to Grambling. And they were able to slide up to the 1 with the Alcorn stumble this past Saturday. But, you know, you were kind of waiting for this Grambling team to show up because we got some early glimpses of it, especially in the non-conference schedule with those Pac-12 wins that they So you knew that they had a really good basketball team. Whatever slippage happened along the way, but here they are, one of the hottest teams in HBCU basketball. They've ascended to number one. Can't say enough about that basketball program. I think it's the first time in X number of years. I can't remember since the last time they had 20 wins, but Grambling basketball getting it done. And coming down the stretch, look at North Carolina Central coming down the stretch like coming out of the pack, like watching the Kentucky Derby. Here comes the North Carolina Central Eagles. I tell you what, they're playing some tremendous basketball. And I tell you what, that was very interesting to see North Carolina Central, what they're doing in the MEAC now. You knew it was there, and now it's starting to show up. So I tell you what, these teams playing some great ball going into tournament play.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating, big with them as they go into overtime, hold home court. Mike, what are your thoughts in terms of the top 5 programs? You see it. What do you think?
Actually, I think you got it right. It's the first time. I ain't had nothing to say about your polls, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's the coffee I'm drinking or what. Tennessee State's playing some good ball. They're in third. They've lost to Moorhead, which is number 1, but Tennessee Tech, which is number 2, they had a solid win against them, so they're playing some good ball. Grambling, what can you say? 4 weeks, 1 loss. That loss was to Alcorn. Alcorn State, 4 weeks, 2 losses. The Southern and the Prairie View. So I think they're ranked appropriately. You look at a 4-week stretch. You compare all the data points. It says at Grambling State, congratulations, hats off. You're doing it this year. But the odds are March.
Big stuff, big stuff. That tournament is going to be madness. When you look this past weekend, just to be the example in terms of Saturday and Monday matchups of the 10 games that were played, 80% of them were within 9 points. 3-point basketball in their games. Within that, let's get into our last break. We'll come back on the other side. We have a great interview ready for you, so stick with us. We'll come back after this quick break.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a lot, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
I'm just playing, man.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We told you we have a great interview lined up for you. We have Coach Eric Jackson of the Russ College Bearcats. They are champions of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference. They've done it 2 years straight. So this is not by accident. They are playing some good basketball. Played a tough schedule early in the season. Let you know I didn't just stop following this team. They went out to Arizona. I gave some teams fits out there. Went down the stretch. They've been in the top 5 for much of my season in terms of the HBCU mid-major division, particularly on the women's side. stumped their toe against Philander Smith, which was a quintessential matchup because they came back and got the victory. Then they had a last-second shot. Anybody missed that, man? You need to go find the tapes because it was beautiful. Big-time plays, big-time calls. The women do what championship teams did, and they get it done. So, Coach, welcome and congratulations.
Man, thank you. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for having me on, man. It's a great honor. Appreciate you guys.
You're a Rush College alumni, 7th collegiate season, 4th year as the head coach of Rush College. Talk about getting a championship and getting the chance to coach the alma mater.
Man, it's a dream come true, man. Just from the standpoint of when I was playing, I played under Coach Rodney Stennis, and we were Division III at the time. So what that means in short is we didn't have any athletic scholarships. So everything was academic, and then on top of that, we weren't in a conference. And so all of those things, made adversity already be a part of. Before you even start playing, you had some things you had to do to even get a shot to play the national tournament. So whereas in a conference, you get automatic bids and whatnot, being an independent, you only qualify for at-large bids. Well, to get at-large bids, you had to play 17, 18 of your 25 games, Division III, and the Division III teams knew that. And so we would only have maybe 5 or 6 home games in a 25-game schedule. Wow. And so, man, we had some teams that I tell you, if we had just a regular conference schedule, man, it is no doubt in my mind we would have a few conference championships at the least. But not even with just my class, but with classes that came before and after me. And so it's just a blessing to be able to be a part of a conference in general, and have that opportunity just to represent my alma mater for not just the people that's there now, but even the people that came before me and my classmates. And so it's just a great honor.
I appreciate you sharing that. That's a really nice perspective for folks that may not be aware of what it is to be at a HBCU and play other teams, and how sometimes it's bigger than what you all think in terms of just a matchup. So you have the X's and O's that you got to deal with, which rightfully so is tough in itself. When this bio came out, you were 59-26, so this is not an accident. Back in 2019-20, you got up to 23rd in the country. You talk about, so you built the program. There's no question about that. But I'd be remiss if I didn't follow up and ask you about Gulf Coast Athletic Conference and the rigor of the conference and how it's coming together and growing and building, and the commitment that your presidents, the newly named commissioner, Dr. Kiki Baker-Barnes, is putting together to take and to continue to build on the legacy of the Gulf Coast Athletic Conference.
Man, I mean, just shout out to women in leadership, first off, just doing a great job, just doing a great job of just being visionaries, being progressive, not trying to just live up to the status quo, but trying to push the envelope for us to be bigger and better, and showing that we can do that, within ourselves, and I think that is just, great. Dr. Taylor, when she first got here, she just invested in athletics as a whole. I was here in the middle of the transition from our athletic director, who was here who served at Rush College for 50 years, and to our new and current athletic director, Mr. Jarvis Stephen. And they were just all about pushing athletics and make sure we have the resources we need to thrive. And then on the back end, in return, we make sure that we recruit students to keep the enrollment where it needs to be, so she can keep replenishing the resources. And so it's just a quid pro quo situation there, and we try to do our part. And so now, kind of getting the fruits of our labor, if you will, just being able to recruit students by her increasing our scholarship money, renovations on the gym and the weight room, all those different things, the residence halls. It makes it easier for us to get the level of student athlete that we need to be competitive in the GCAC, because it is absolutely tough. It is ridiculous, and people think NAI is a step down, but let me tell you, everybody that don't play in the NAI, man, it is.
Come in there playing if you want to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You ain't got to tell it we ain't new to this. But you
Yeah,
gotta tell all
that's
those
it,
folks
man.
out there
It is different. It's a different beast, and you know, and
little gyms, boy. Woo!
Man, it is
Talking about
ridiculous.
hostile environment.
Every single game is a rivalry game, man. Every single game. Records don't matter. You know, they're in there packed, and it makes it even worse. You know, lately now since we've been kind of at the top of the conference, you're getting everybody's best shot. You know, now you know, so it makes it even worse. So every time you come to town, it's either Greek night or it's a blackout or you know something like that, just to get the bodies in there to make the environment really, really hostile. But it's so much fun. You know, and Dr. Barnes, you know, she implemented this this new way to have conference games to try to help out the new members that we've had that come in Wiley College and Oakwood. We're so spread out geographically now as we're trying to grow the conference. We implemented these pods where we played 3 games in a row over the course of 4 weekends to get 12 games. So you're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you rest, and then you come back Friday, Saturday, Sunday, play again, and then you rest, and then you go on for 4 weekends to get 12 of your 14 conference games, and then you play a home and home with your travel partner. And so just that type of progressive thinking gave us the opportunity for our conference to grow when some teams left our conference this past summer, you know, and so it's just something that I just think is really, really cool for and something that we need as a conference to make sure that we continue to grow and thrive and get to that ever elusive number of 10 teams so we can get 2 bids to the national tournament.
Excellent. Excellent. Coach, you can't say this because it's Tampa, but I can say this, you know, shout out to Stillman, Xavier, you know, and, you know, there's some of those matchups y'all want. The Jarvis Christian, I know y'all went in there, but Wiley over there, you might want to look at this. Texas College, you know, they doing some big things. Houston Tillerson, I'm just saying.
Exactly.
That culture is the culture. And then I also want to put in the plug in when you do the travel pod over to Virgin Islands, as they come in there, make sure you call your boy. You know,
okay.
I'll cover that game. Just let you all know. All I need is a hotel room. I'll make it work.
I'll carry some bags or something.
I know, exactly.
Man. So the whole team going. So we'll do a show down there.
Hey, why not? Why not, man? Why not get some oxtails and some rice and peas or something?
You better believe it.
That point right there.
That's it.
Charles, go ahead. Follow up.
Well, first and foremost, Coach Jackson, I want to welcome you to Dr. Fields Inside HBCU Sports Lab. You have made my house a happy home tonight, as my wife is a proud, fiercely loyal Russ College alumnus, as well as I married into this Russ College family from father-in-law, mother-in-law, aunts, uncles, cousins. They love them some Russ College. So I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And I wanted to talk a little bit and ask you a little bit about the team itself. This team has been winners. As Dr. Bill mentioned, over the past couple of seasons, you have really transformed this program. But talk about some of the playmakers on this team that has captured another Gulf Coast Conference championship.
Man, let's start off with the hometown hero herself, Katie Blackman. That's the young lady who's been with me for all 5 years. She's been here through the rebuild, and this is her 5th year. She's using her COVID year right now. She's finishing up her classes for graduation in a couple of months. She's from right down the road in Olive Branch, Mississippi. She was a winner there. She won 3 state titles in her 3 years at high school. And she's our all-time leading rebounder. She's a 1,000-point scorer, over 1,100 rebounds right now and counting. She has just been the anchor and the foundation of this rebuild and of this team as we continue to grow. And she's so humble. And, you know, sometimes when you get kids that are talented like that, they're a little high maintenance, you know, but she's the exact opposite, you know, and it's just a joy to coach her. You know, we're definitely she's gonna leave a gaping hole in our roster for sure. So we got to make sure that we try to fill it, whether it's with 2 different people trying to put some things together to make one, or or get lucky. But Katie Blackman for sure And then her twin tower mate, Nia McGuire, her second leading scorer. She is, she's my bucket. When I need a basket, that's who I go to. She is just amazing. And they play so well together because Katie is more of like she's a willing number two, if you will. But she's one of those people when you play pickup basketball and you want to get some shots up, and Katie is the girl that's gonna say, hey, I don't mind you shooting, but just let me get down there so I can get the rebound. You can shoot as much as you want to. And that's how Katie is.
Really?
That's how she gets that double-double every night and all those different types of things. And Nia's kind of the opposite of that. She's like, she demands the ball, but when she gets the ball, she's shooting 55%. Her and Katie both top 5 in the conference in field goal percentage, but they just do it in different ways. And I think that really works for us from the post perspective.
Mike, go ahead and follow up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach. Finish.
Oh no, go ahead, man. I mean, look, I can go all night. I got 16 girls, and I play 13 of them every night.
Nice.
Yeah, you're a deep ball club. I've noticed that with the city.
Exactly. That goes to my point question. Well, first, Coach, congratulations, 2 years in a row. That's phenomenal. We were messing with you in the break, but hats off to you and the team. You 2 years in. You started, you said, when, kind of during the rebuild, the restructuring, now you're 2 championships. You've gone from the hunter to the hunted.
Right.
You obviously have done a great job with recruiting. So now, what do you tell those kids that you want to bring to the program? What is that? Does that message change? What are you telling these kids? Hey, come to Russ. We got something. What's your message to them?
Yeah, it's kind of like, look at where we were and look at where we are now. And, we've been able to sustain the success now. It's not like a one-hit wonder where we just had a really good team 1 year and then now we got to wait 4 years for kids to get up and try to get better. We're ready to go right now. We believe in reloading in Russ College women's basketball. We don't believe in rebuilding. And so, this is one of those situations where we're just happy to be able to say that to some kids. And, my recruiting style, I like freshmen, but the freshmen I like don't like me. They like the D1s. I'll put it like that. So, I normally some of my friends, my coaching friends in the conference, they call us Transfer U because I got outside of Katie Blackman, every other kid on my team has transferred from somewhere else. Wow. And so that part, to answer your question, it makes it easier for this group that's coming in because now I'm going to have 10 or 11 returners when this time a year ago, I brought in 9 brand new girls. And so now they're going to be able to learn the system, learn our style of play, but also understand that they're going to have the opportunity to be themselves within that system because we play 13, 14 girls. So if you're coming here and you want to just get your rocks off and, average 20, 25, this might not be the place for you. But if you want to play quality basketball, that's Christ-centered, that wants to connect the life lessons through basketball and teach you some things other than, coming off a pick and roll, the value of being on time, the value of relationships, all those different types of things that we try to teach in our little small community at Russ College, our big family, what we call it at Russ. This is the place for you. And we're going to win a couple championships while we do that. But the thing about it is we want you to leave here with some of those soft skills to make sure that after you leave us and the ball stops bouncing and those knees start hurting like mine, you can sit behind a desk and make some money to provide for you and your family. And so that's kind of what we sell, not just in my program, but in all the athletes across the campus for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach.
We're up against it. I did be remiss if we give a chance to give some shout outs and thank yous to those that helped make this possible.
Oh, yeah, man. No doubt, man. Shout out to, first of all, my president, Dr. Ivy Taylor, my VP for Institutional Advancement, Ms. Tiffany Perry, my AD, Jarvis Stephen. Appreciate you guys for your unwavering support, allowing us to fly all the way to Arizona. Being a little school in Holly Springs, man, it's not easy, but they found the resources to allow us to do that, to represent. I appreciate all the the Bearcat crazies that came to the game that were watching on the stream. You know, all those people, man, the students that came and drove up. You know, it's not easy forking up, you know, $20, $30 in gas money to come to a game as a college student, because, you know, we all were there once upon a time. So we appreciate that.
That's right.
You know, we appreciate all of that, man. And I especially appreciate my family, because every last one of my family members were there in person, from my wife to my brothers, my sister, even my brand new born baby nephew was there cheering us on, man. And so I just appreciate them as well, you know. And then I also appreciate you guys for just giving us a platform to be able to, you know, celebrate HBCU and Black excellence, man, from a sports perspective, and give us a space to talk, man. So I appreciate you guys and everything that you do for us, for sure.
It's our pleasure, and we'll make sure you always have a space here as you continue to do the work, get the championships, as you make this run in the tournament. Let us know, and we'll be following you. With that said, we know you have a big schedule, so we're going to take this last break. We'll come back on the other side with a little overtime as we're getting into the tournament. We've had some great plays in overtime, so it's appropriate as we get into and give you a little update on some of the games to watch out as we continue the tournament spaces, as we're up against it on different levels. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break.
Now, you can live in Texas and not have a good red meat blend. Texas Cowboy Dust is designed for steak and other red meats. It's out to be my most popular spice blend, made with onions, peppers, ground mushrooms, pink salt, and other spices. Texas Cowboy Dust also goes great with chicken, pork, vegetables, and adds a restaurant quality sheen to gravies and sauces.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. As we give you some overtime, we want to give you some games to watch out for, give you a little bit of updates, because we got softball and baseball. You obviously had Major League Baseball, Andre Dawson Classic down there in New Orleans. Some great matchups, some games on Friday. I got to watch them directly, very entertained. But we start off on the Friday matchups. You had Alabama A&M defeating Prairie View 13-1. That was a 7-inning shortened game. Then you had the televised game that was very exciting. FAMU late in the game beat up on Southern 12-6. You had Jackson State with the only victory over the weekend, 3-0, big win in terms of that matchup. Alabama State in the nightcap had a game that went in the extra innings. Very fascinating as they defeated Grambling State 10-4. A lot of HBCU, if you would, Negro League type chirping going on in that game. Fascinating to watch as you look at it. Then you turn it on to Saturday, had Grambling State in a nice matchup. Alabama A&M looks like they have a program. Grambling defeats them, but it was just 3-2. Then you have the second game matchup. FAMU gets blanked in a 7-inning short game, 12-0. As UNO gets it done over the Rattlers. Third game in that matchup was Jackson State with a nail biter over Prairie View, winning 5-4. So Jackson State at that point is 2-0 coming out of the tournament. See what they do on Sunday. But before we get to Sunday, you have Alabama State with the matchup against Southern. That was a top 10 matchup. Fascinating to see what happened in that matchup. Alabama State wins 7-5 over Southern. And the nightcapper was a close one. But FAMU, the Rattlers getting it done. When you look at the ag schools, FAMU over Prairie View A&M 6-4. And then Sunday, you get your last matchups there. Jackson State over Grambling State, 12-11. High-scoring game where Jackson State ends up going 3-0. Defeats Alabama State 18-7. And the final game was Southern over Alabama A&M. Close one, 9-7 to get it done. So interesting as Southern went 3-0 in Houston. They take it to the chin a little bit in this matchup here. So fascinating when you start talking about some of these matchups in baseball. Told you the top 10 teams coming into this matchup in a lot of ways, where you had in the Major League, Andrew Dawson, you had number 1 Prairie View, number 3 Alabama State, number 4 FAMU, number 6 Southern, number 8 Jackson State, and number 9 Grambling that was in that tournament. So you had 6 of your top 10 teams playing each other, facing off that were in, and that is courtesy of the blackcollegenines.com. If I would have ranked it at the first week after what Southern got done, I would have had at number 1, Southern 3-0. At number 2, Coppin State 3-0. At number 3, Alabama State 3-1. At number 4, Bethune-Cookman at 2-1. And at number 5, Jackson State. After this past weekend and scores I just got you, you had number 1, Alabama State, moves in that spot at 5-3. At number 2, you had Bethune-Cookman at 6-2. At number 3, Jackson State at 5-2. Check out all those teams there in the East Division. At number 4, Southern, finally representing for the West, 4-3. And number 5, back in the East, is Alabama A&M at 4-4. Woo-wee! It should be interesting this season. So keep up a couple of more weeks before you get into conference play. Let's get back to basketball in terms of some key matchups, or you can chirp in any thoughts on baseball you want to give. Charles, what are your thoughts in terms of the baseball, ping of the bats, or some matchups you want people to look forward to this weekend?
Yeah, I just think of the first couple of weeks of the season, we've seen some fascinating matchups. And as you mentioned, 6 out of the top teams in the Black College Nines top 10 poll, they faced each other. I think that's you've had some fascinating matchups. You take a look at the Andre Dawson Classic this past weekend, Florida A&M and Southern. Florida A&M and Southern getting 2 of the top teams. You're talking about in the SWAC East and in the SWAC West. I tell you what, this upcoming season in SWAC in terms of baseball, it's going to be fun. These weekend series, because you just don't know. I don't think you're going to have a team that's going to sweep series on a consistent basis, if you will, week in, week out. I mean, you take a look at Alabama State, Jackson State, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman in the SWAC East, and an upstart Alabama A&M. It's going to be fun. And then the SWAC West, it's tremendous parity in the SWAC West when you're talking about Texas Southern, Prairie View, Southern, Grambling, week in, week out. These are going to be some exciting matchups. Looking forward to getting out this spring and catching some exciting baseball action. That game last Saturday with Prairie View and Texas Southern, it had a football atmosphere. When you take a look at the crowd that was there, they were loud. It was exciting. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff, good stuff. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's early to tell, but one thing I didn't see the classic, but you just kind of look at the numbers, man. You're starting to see the East. There are about 4 or 5 teams in the East that are starting to tower above those teams in the West, with the exception of Southern. You look at, take an early look at ERA. Typically, Alabama State's got the top ERA. Now Bethune-Cookman, at least through yesterday, has kind of the top team ERA. But again, these are statistics. It's early to tell, early data points. But I do think it's unique that the highest team batting averages, the highest winning percentages, all right now reside in the East on average, statistically speaking. So
I agree with you. The East is a beast. Let me go back to round ball as we get ready to close it out. Some key matchups. One game left is going to go down to the stretch on the men's side. At Howard sitting at 10-3. You have Norfolk State tied with North Carolina Central at 9-4, and then just 2 games back is Maryland East Shore as they're out. But this last weekend features Norfolk State and Howard. So that should be interesting in terms of what is going to happen. And then you have North Carolina Central at South Carolina State. Depending on that Norfolk State and Howard matchup, they can get a share of it. So it should be fascinating to see how things close up in regards to what you're looking at. But you do have some seeding going on. I'm not sure if it matters because it's 4 and 5, so they're going to end up playing each other anyway, which is Maryland Eastern Show at 8 and 5 and Morgan State at 7 and 6. So it is what it is for the tournament. You get into SWAC play in terms of that, because on the women's side, everything is settled for the most part. And so you can keep your eyes on those matchups. But you go into the SWAC on Thursday, you have Alabama A&M at Grambling fighting out and to see if Grambling can hold on and get a share of that. Obviously, Alcorn would have the number 1 seed if they can hold on in terms of what that looks like. With teams tied, they had the head-to-head matchup in terms of over Grambling with the 3-point victory, getting it done. It's coming down to one of those stretches. Alabama State at Southern. It's going to be fascinating to see what that looks like. Alabama State wants to get the win over these next 2 games so they can push the envelope and see if they can get in that tournament. So it'll be intriguing to see what goes on. Jackson State, Arkansas Pine Bluff. Arkansas Pine Bluff has slid over the last couple of games, starting out hot, but they've lost 7 in a row. Can they right the ship just enough to try to find a way to get in the tournament? We'll see what that looks like. And then, obviously, on Saturday, you have some of those long-standing rivalries. Bethune-Cookman is fighting for a slot. They're at home. They get to play the rival FAMU that's out of the tournament. FAMU would like nothing else than to make sure that the Wildcats can't go either. Texas Southern Prairie View, we've been saying this for a couple of weeks. This could come down to see, not necessarily for Prairie View. They have a little more solid, but they can't make too much of a misstep. But Texas Southern certainly is going to need this victory to make sure they can get a tournament. So it'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. So some of the things that are going on then. And then the women, in terms of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th seeding, it's going to be fascinating. As I said, people are going to want to find out how to get in that 2nd and 3rd slot so they can see if they can get to the finals and see if they can find a way to answer to get it done. Because you would think Jackson State is going to find a way to come through the quarterfinals, semifinals. You want to stay away from, I would think, as long as possible. So it'll be fascinating with that going on. With that, we'll do it for the show today. Wanted to give you a little overtime, extra time. The games on Thursday for HBCU Go will be 5:30, 8 o'clock on Thursday. That's Jackson State at Arkansas Pine Bluff. I told you what that means on the men's side, doubleheader there. You'll get to see the Jackson State champions women's team as well as they close out the season Thursday and Friday on the road. On Saturday, you have the Texas matchup between Texas Southern at Prairie View, both men's and women's. So it'll be fascinating to see. Credit to HBCU Go on the Saturday matchups to keep you going. That's a 12:30 and 3 o'clock on Saturday. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab with the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed our interview with Coach Jackson, championship team, women's coach of Russ College. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Mills Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. So check us out. We'll be back on Thursday looking at the mid-majors, giving you some updates on the SIAC tournament. You have Langston as they close out on the Sooner Athletic Conference. We'll give you an update there as they're in the quarterfinal. They play tonight. We look forward to next Thursday in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyatta-Cavil, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'll also give you the top 5 mid-major women's and men's poll rankings on Thursday. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big, continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Dismissed.